Hello everybody, it's Stephen here for the Idiot Quilter and welcome to my weekly episode. It is episode number 331 for November the 4th, 2025, and I hope your first week in November is going along well and you've recovered from Halloween, and now you're probably thinking more to American Thanksgiving for the Americans and of course Christmas, because 'tis the season now, isn't it? Seems to start earlier every year. But anyways, speaking of getting ready for the season, you know my quilt, Stormy C. Well, I've gotten a little bit further on it. I'm getting closer to the end. There it is so far. So I have most of the blocks are there. In fact, all the blocks are there with the exception of the ones for the border. And that's the pieces I'm going to work on today. And my hope is that I'll get this done, the top done before the end of the week, and next week I want to put it on Lucy and quilt it. But so far so good. It is going to be a large quilt, as you can see. Hopefully it will fit on Lucy, because if it doesn't fit on Lucy, and it should, I think it's about 108 inches wide. Lucy can handle 120. No, Lucy can handle, what can Lucy handle? She's only a 10 foot. Yeah, she can handle 120. Had to do math there. Math hard. But anyways, yeah. So maybe next week, or well, later in the week or so, I will have, or in 2 weeks' time. Okay, I'm going off track right now. I'm sorry. My mind is drifting. It does at times. But as I'm saying, it's getting finished. Put it that way. Okay, so announcements. Sewing with Stephen as usual on Wednesdays. Link is in the show notes. 9 a.m. Eastern Time is our start, but you can come and go as you please. Just a note about Wednesday. Wednesday's going to be a little different. Walter and I are going to our doctors to get our flu shot in the afternoon, which means that we have to leave here at around 12 o'clock noon. So I'm not going to shut down Sewing with Stephen. It'll just become Sewing with Sue, because my friend Sue Norfleet has graciously volunteered to step in. Well, she got voluntold, but you know, let's pretend she volunteered to step in and take over until I return back. So she knows what she's doing with it all. She's been co-host every week for the last year or so. So you're in good hands. Those of you that are regulars and those of you that are new, don't worry. Sue won't bite unless you want her to. So that's great, and I appreciate her stepping in to do that for me. So that's good. We went to a guild quilt show in a little place called, okay, I can never say the name of this place. There it is. In fact, let me give you a better look at this. Excuse me. And this was their announcement for it. It is in a church, and it was a great show. Wonderful quilts in it. Beautiful, beautiful. And I did do video, and the video will come out this Friday on So Chatty. It's a complete video of all the quilts and everything that was there and our experience with it. But loved it. Definitely will go back the next time they have one. The only thing that I'm a little disappointed in, but I understand why it is that way. This is a small town, so there's not really, there is, I know of one quilt shop that's in the area, but they don't really have the space to set up for vendors. They had every part of the church, the hallways, the hall, the sanctuary, everything was loaded with quilts. So there weren't any outside vendors, but they did have a little market of items that had been made, and you can see a sample of that kind of thing. I think, I'm not sure if those are on display or if those are part of the store in the center picture. I think that might be just part of their quilt show. But anyways, they had lots of lovely things that you could purchase. And you know, it is getting towards Christmas, so people were, I think, buying things for Christmas presents. But as I said, I'm stuffing up here. There will be more about this coming Friday on So Chatty. So please tune in for it and support this local guild, because, you know, like quilt shops, guilds could start to die soon too, and they may have already started. So, you know, we've got to keep our quilting community going. Okay, so speaking of what I have been up to, well, last week on So Chatty, we talked about, is it really cheaper to sew something than to purchase it? And I was talking about garments mostly, and because Walter does men's shirts all the time, um, we we feel as sewists and quilters that yes, it is cheaper to buy something, a quilt or a garment, a dress or a shirt. Um, but not in but it not in all cases. Some higher end clothing, of course, you're paying for the name, and we talk about that on the video. Um, you know, it's going to cost you, but are you getting the quality? It used to be you get what you pay for, not anymore, really. Even if you're paying a couple of $100 for a shirt in this style, if you're buying it off the rack, you may not be getting something that's of a high quality. Not the kind of quality that you can get if you are selecting the fabric yourself and you're doing the workmanship yourself. And this is why I often tell people when they ask if Walter will make shirts for other people, and I say, you can't afford them. And you can't. Because one of these kind of shirts, I mean, there's 2.5 meters of fabric in this shirt at average of $20 a meter. Right there, you've got $50 worth of fabric. Then there's the buttons and the thread, but then there's the time, right? And we talked about all of that on Friday. So yeah, in our opinion, it really isn't cheaper to sew, not in this day and age. It may have been at one point in time, but in this day and age, it isn't. But that's not why you sew things, or at least that's not why Walter sews and I sew. we do it for, well, the joy of creating something yourself. So if you haven't seen So Chatty from last week, you may want to tune into that. Okay. So I did mention that we went to a quilt store in the area called the Quilting Gnome. Now I want to tell you something, and I'm a little embarrassed by this and a little ticked off with myself as well. A couple of years ago, someone who I will not mention her name decided she was going to get a Christmas box from the Quilting Gnome and do an unboxing, like a haul thing at Christmas, kind of like doing the Missouri Star quilt box, that kind of thing. Well, she started to do it, and the first couple of items were crap. Well, at least in her opinion, they were crap. They seemed like they were promotional items from other places, like freebies, like how sewing machine places give you a keychain or something like that. I never really saw what was in the rest of the box because she determined that this thing was crap and she'd never do it again. Well, at the time, I was supporting her, and because it was a Canadian thing, I was a little embarrassed for Canadian quilt stores that something like this would be put on the market. So I had done a review of this particular quilt shop way before then, and I think I gave it a fairly high rating based on their online presence, and said, someday I may get up there to this store. Well, after this whole thing at the Christmas box, and I did see there were some things written about the Christmas box on Facebook pages as well, and without having experienced it myself, I believed what other people said. That's what I'm embarrassed about. I should have made up my own mind based on my own investigation, and I didn't. And I sort of slammed this store. And I hope that they never see this or remember that, because I'm very embarrassed about it. We went to the store, and I went in with hesitation. I was thinking, ooh, the things that I said, maybe, I don't know. Lovely little store. Absolutely lovely. I bought a couple of things. I'll show those to you in a second. The people in the store, I don't know. I have a feeling one of them was probably the owner. Maybe they're both owners. I don't know. Both very, very nice people. We talked and laughed with them for a while. They had some great sales going on, especially for Christmas stuff. And after I purchased the two things that I purchased, I'll show you, I said in a minute, I got to pull an envelope off a little Christmas tree. They were running a special. And inside that envelope, I got an additional $10 off of what I purchased. So bonus all the way around. But yes, I am so sorry that I was negative about this store based on a minimum amount of information, and usually I'm a little bit more thorough in my research, but that was back about a year, maybe 2 years ago, and basically I believed the other person, and I shouldn't have. I shouldn't have. Um, but anyways, I am sorry about that. So if anybody from the Quilting Gnome ever sees this video, I want you to know that I am sorry. I take back what I said about you at that point in time, and definitely the next time I'm in your area, I will be dropping in again to make some more purchases and to say hi. Okay, so what did I purchase? Well, here you go. Only two things, but two very essential things. I did pick up a Quilter Select 6.5 by 24-inch ruler. Now, I have been debating about buying one of these rulers. They have them. They do carry Quilter Select items in my local quilt store. Although when I was in there last, I can't remember if they had a 6.5 by 24 Quilter Select ruler. These are pricey. That ruler was $70. But, you know, they have a great reputation as that, you know, you can see the markings on them and they don't slide. And so I was talking to the lady in the store, and she uses it all the time, and she loves it. So I bought it. And then the other thing I bought was the Sue Daily rotating mat. And I saw them there. Another pricey item. They were about $41. But I do have a revolving mat, one that's about 17 inches. Is it 17? That's the big one. I have a smaller one too. I use the smaller one quite a bit, especially when you're trimming up half square triangles or flying geese. I really like them. I've had a revolving one for years, and the one I've got is worn out. So this has a very good reputation. She had one out and was using it as well for her daily cutting. So I purchased it, and I haven't made a cut on it yet, but I think it's going to work out really nice. So these are the only two things that I bought. I didn't buy any fabric, although they had a fairly good selection of fabric. Reason being is I don't have any need for fabric right at the moment. Right at the moment. My days of buying a lot of fabric in one shot with the idea that maybe in the future I'll use it are kind of have diminished for a couple of reasons. One, I'm not seeing anything that's really getting me excited. All the new lines that are coming out, I don't know, maybe it's because I've bought so much fabric over the years that nothing thrills me anymore in fabric lines. It all looks like just a variation on a theme kind of deal. You know, seen it before. That kind of thing. And also, I don't have storage for it. I am running out of space to store fabric. And the operative word there is store. You shouldn't be storing fabric. You should be using it. And I'm just not using it up. So, you know, I hear other people saying the same thing. That's not to say, as I said a moment ago, that I won't buy any more fabric. I certainly will as soon as I see something that grabs me. Okay, so speaking of things that grab you, I have a quilt to show you from Charlotte de Roche. I think that's how, or Roches, de Roche. I think that's how I say Charlotte's last name. I should check with her because she's a regular here. And she sent us a picture of this beautiful creation that I'm going to share with you right now. This week's quilt from a subscriber comes from Charlotte de Roche. Let's get that right. And she sends this beautiful creation that has a fishing theme, so I can only assume she has made this for a male in her family. And this is what Charlotte has to say about it. She says, "Hi, Stephen. This is my thread-painted fish panel quilt that I made for my grandson's 18th birthday this past June." Yes, I was right. It is for a male. "There are many hours of stitching and many thread changes involved." Yeah, I would think so. And if I can just get a little closer up shot at some of this to see the thread painting. Yeah, you can see it right in everything she's did with the fish, how she has highlighted parts of the fish, which looks really great. And so this just shows you what you can do with a panel. if you set your mind to it. This is really beautiful, and I love the border treatments that Charlotte has included with this particular quilt. They really add some vibrancy to it in the color and show it off very, very well. So thank you, Charlotte, for sending us this picture of your beautiful quilt. I am sure that your grandson is going to love it forever. And that takes me to the YouTube clip of the week, and this comes from some that I'm sure many people know well, and this is Becca from So Becca. And of course, Becca, as you know, those of you that attended my virtual retreat back 2 weeks ago, she was one of my guest speakers, and it was delightful having her here. And she had a really interesting YouTube video this week. She called 7 Quilting Tools I'll Never Buy Again. And we've all been there, haven't we? So here's what I'm talking about. This week's YouTube video clip comes from someone that I'm sure most people know, and it is So Becca. And she does a video on 7 quilting tools I'll never buy again, her honest take on this. And what I like about this is because many of the things that Becca speaks about are things that I have owned, and I feel pretty much the same way. Now, we did a video a couple of weeks ago on So Chatty about rotary cutters and the ones that we like and the ones we don't like and why. Well, this is kind of an extension to that in some ways, because Becca looks at a variety of common quilting tools that we all have in our cache of things, and I'm sure most of us have a few that we regret spending the money on. So this is a very honest and straightforward review of 7 very popular quilting tools. And if you haven't seen it, I strongly suggest you click on the link in the show notes to go to So Becca's video called 7 Quilting Tools I'll Never Buy Again. So that takes me to future projects, and I think it was during one of my Sewing with Stephen days, one of my subscribers had just finished this project and showed it off, and I really liked it. And it's called the Holland Duffle. So I have bought the pattern, I have picked out my fabric, it's all sitting in a little basket on my cutting area, ready for me to start working at some point. Of course, I've still got Stormy C. Which way is my fingers going? Stormy C back here to get out of the way first. But here's the pattern. This week's future project is one that I want to get started on very, very soon, and it is called the Holland Duffle by Center Street Quilts. And this was brought to my attention by one of my subscribers on one of my sew days. And I really like the design of it, and she said that this is very easy to do. It looks complicated, but she says, no, it's not at all. Anybody can do it. So I'm looking forward to doing this. It is a purchased pattern, and I think on this site, Center Street Quilts, is where you'll get it. But let me see here. They say find all Center Street Quilts here. So we'll just take a look. And they do have a pouch that can go along with it. There it is. The PDF format for this particular bag is $17.53 Canadian. So a reasonable price for this kind of pattern. And I'm looking forward to giving it a try. So that's the Holland the Holland Duffle bag by Center Street Quilts. Okay, so this is my segment, the new segment that I started a couple of months ago called What's Twisting My Seams. I have nothing to show you. Nobody has sent me in anything lately. I'm all caught up on what things people did send to me. So yes, if I'm going to carry on with What's Twisting My Seams, then I can do one of two things. You can send those pictures in to me of, fabric that you've got in your stash that at the time you bought it, you thought it was a good idea. Why? And did you ever use it? Why or why not? And how did you use it? And are you still in love with it? If you went out and saw it today on the shelf, would you buy it? That's all I ask you to do. In the meantime, I am threatening you. I am telling you, changing it this week to, well, I have a little rant here. This is What's Twisting My Seams. It's all about quilt police. We have all heard the expression, there aren't any quilt police, which is supposed to be comforting for us, I guess, when we make mistakes in our quilts. When people say that, what they're inferring is, don't worry, nobody's going to see that mistake. Don't point it out to them. No one's going to criticize you. And you want to know something? Although that's a very comforting thought, it's bull. There are quilt police. There are people out there who are super critical about any quilt they look at. They are more than happy, in the disguise of helping you out, pointing out your mistake and how you could have avoided it or how you can improve on that next time. These are usually people who consider themselves experts in the quilting world. They've been quilting since they were knee-high to a grasshopper, and we should listen to them. No, we should not. However, there's another type of quilt police as well, and it's our inner critic. We are our own quilt police. I know when I make a mistake on a quilt, it bugs me to no end. Now, I live with a quilt policeman, and that would be Walter, as you well know if you're a regular subscriber to the channel. He often can spot the mistake that I didn't even know was there. And yes, that gets me upset. It gets me upset for two reasons. One, I missed it, and it was a stupid idiot error, and I'm feeling bad about myself for doing that. Two, I'm done with the quilt at that point, and usually it's just way too difficult or too much effort to correct the mistake. So in my mind, I will say, well, there are no quilt police. No one's going to notice it if I don't point it out. But I know it's there, and all of us are our own policemen. We all are super critical of our own work. But having said that, we shouldn't be super critical about other people's work. I mean, in polite society, you don't point out somebody's mistakes, especially not in a quilt. Because think about it, and you know yourself as a quilter, the hours that we spend putting together a quilt, and we can be very proud of it, even if there is a tiny little mistake and we know it's there. We've turned a block the wrong way, or a seam isn't laying quite flat, or whatever it is. But we basically don't point that out to somebody. And so when somebody does, we don't like them. So yeah, there are quilt police, and that's what's twisting my seams this week. If you have nothing nice to say about somebody's quilt, well, find something. Yeah, like I love your use of color. I love the way that border offsets those blocks. I love your piecing. Whatever. Find something nice to say if you just don't focus on a negative. Even if it's somebody that's a really good friend. In some ways, it's even worse if it's somebody that's a really good friend who's criticizing you. So, yeah. Are there quilt police? Yes, they are. There are. That's just an expression to make us feel better. And for me, that's not working. So the last week was a busy week, but every week's a busy week. And I was doing this, that, and the other thing. And so this is what I've been working on. So this week I've been making a few more things for Christmas using the 3D printer. And I'll show you a couple of them, a couple of nutcrackers, and they are big. They stand about 38 inches tall. And yeah, they took a little time to make on my 3D printers, but I had all three 3D printers, the Bamboos, going at the same time, and so that made short work of it. So these are going to sit outside on our step. And of course, Walter's been busy doing things with our grow lights. He's got some new seeds happening here. I'm not sure what he is starting, but there's little green shoots in here you can see, and I talked about that yesterday on my vlog. So I've taken down all my Halloween decorations except the ones like this that sit up all year long, because that took a long time to make, and so I don't think I want to bring it out just once a year. I want it out all year round, and it is. I've been cleaning up the printers, getting ready for more prints. I did a little tiny nutcracker. This guy took a little while to make, but I'm thinking of maybe making other ones, not the same one, but maybe have a series of them as part of my Christmas decorations this year. Yeah, I need more Christmas decorations, not at all. Of course, you've already seen this, Stormy Sea. We're getting there. I've got all the blocks done. I finished the sashing pieces, the borders. Now I just have to get it assembled, and that's what I'm hoping this week. I will do that. You've already saw my purchases from the Quilting Gnome, that ruler and the revolving cutting mat. Needed a new one, as I told you. And yeah, a few things over here. There's the Quilt of Valor quilt that's ready to go. This coming weekend, we're going to the Sew Day, as I already mentioned, for Quilt of Valor. And that is one of my donations, so I'm taking that then. And geez, what else have I been working on? Not a heck of a lot. I put all the Halloween decorations away in preparation for the Christmas decorations, which will happen the end of this month. So yeah, that's what I've been up to this week. And so that takes me to this week's review of an online quilt store. And this particular store is called the Workroom. This week's online quilt store is called the Workroom and is located in Sprucedale, Ontario. This is their front page, and we can see some basic information here. There is a menu at the top of the page, and we have free standard shipping in Canada on orders over $200. We also have that they're an authorized Bernina dealer, and they have a community newsletter sign up. Let's go on. This shows you pictures here of what's happening, but it seems to be a little off screen, and before I started recording this I tried to get it all on screen, but it doesn't seem to work. So hopefully that's just with this banner and not going to be part of the whole design of this particular web page. They have fall merchant and mills, sewing machine and serger essentials. Looks like it's classes, and they seem to have a lot of classes. And they feature Kona solids. They also have sashiko and mending products as well. I'm not sure what Kona Edit is. Maybe we'll find out as we go by. Quilt patterns. Got a lot of stuff on this front page alone. And actually, it's a little overwhelming that there is so much of it here. Okay, I'm trying to find the bottom of the page, and it goes on for days. Okay, a lot of scrolling. That's something I don't like in a web page design. Yeah, okay, let's get to the bottom because I just want to see what their shipping policy was, if they have something about that. Yes, they do over here. Well, let's take a look over here because I don't want to have to scroll through everything again. Okay, shipping, it's Canada Post. The delivery times, payment options, PayPal, major credit cards, but they do not tell you what it's going to cost. So I would think, because they said it was free shipping over $200, standard shipping, shipping costs are estimated through Canada Post. So I guess you have to put in an order, and when you're going to the checkout, you will see how much it's going to cost you. I like it to be a little bit more upfront than that. I don't like getting everything in my shopping cart and then finding out I have a huge shipping charge. Okay, they have pre-order, classes, batting and interface, fabric. Well, we're interested in fabric. Let's jump into fabric. And how is this organized? Oops. Go back. Okay. So down on the left-hand side, they have a price range. They have material cotton, cotton oilskin, cotton stretch, etc. Lots of cotton to choose from. Okay, why can't I move down here? Well, for some reason, this is not letting me move in here, so I can't see what's beyond this. I see that under here they have wide back fabric, but this little rewards thing is hiding that as well. Right now I can say that the design of the web page needs a little bit of fine tuning. All right, so let's take a look at, we'll go for cotton. Merchant Mills. Okay. Kona solids are $15 per meter Canadian. That's about average price for a solid. $5.75 for prices are all over the place. $14 for some of these per meter, which is really good, but that one is sold out. Well, that's a fat quarter. Fat quarters are $5.75. Okay. Then they have bundles mixed in here. Some tulip pink, that's a remnant. Okay, you need to pay attention to any of the little notes they put on the pictures to make sure you're getting what you want. Ruby Star, 14. Some of the more expensive ones, 25 per meter, but I don't know. They must be a specialty kind. Let's just jump ahead and see what else we've got. $12 Canadian on sale. Lots of bundles of solids and blenders. Okay, I really don't like how this is laid out. I really don't. Because I am not seeing a whole lot of stuff here that I would consider quilting related. I mean, this is more like fabric for garment sewing. And there doesn't seem to be, beyond just cotton, there doesn't seem to be a category for quilting cotton. There's 466 products, but I can tell you this, I'm not going through all 466 of this. How many pages? 20 pages. Let's skip right to the very end. Yeah, everything is just all over the place. So if you like to browse, this is what you'll have to do, but be very careful. Not all of this is really suitable for a quilt. All right, let's do the pre-cuts and bundles and see what we have happening here. Okay, so $34 for bundles, 68. So depending on the size of the bundle, depending on the brand, the prices vary, which is normal. Yeah, they like to do a lot of solids and blenders in bundles. Let's jump to about the middle of the page. They have 7 pages of these, but it's all the same. You know, just different color groupings put together, which is fine if you were looking for something like that. Yeah, they don't seem, though, from what I can see, all they have is solids and blenders in bundles, and they're all, looks like fat quarter bundles. They don't look like they have any anything in layer cakes or charm packs or that kind of thing. Okay, so they do have a sale, and here are some of the sale things. $13 a meter, regularly 21 Canadian, of course. Ruby Star. A few things here, some panels. Well, yeah, not a whole lot on sale. Okay, so batting and interfacing. Let's take a look at batting. Quilter's Dream, $30. Oh, they sell it by the meter. $30 a meter for Quilter's Dream, depending, and up to 38. They have pre-packaged. Quilter's Dream, seem to like Quilter's Dream. And then they have interfacing. Okay, so not really a great selection in batting types. It's all Quilter's Dream. And if you like Quilter's Dream, and I know a lot of people do, they think it's wonderful. I've never used it myself. There you go. Okay, what else can we look at? We looked at fabric, gift guides, kits. They have kits. DIY embroidery. Okay, kind of little Mickey Mousey type kits. Yeah, just small projects there. Let's jump to the end and see. Yeah, a lot of embroidery type of kits. There's a quilt kit, sugar cubes. Let's jump to the middle of their selection. Don't seem to have a lot of quilt kits unless I'm missing them. They're in A little further. I'm not going to go through all 7 pages. No, they seem to really like these little embroidery stitch sampler kits, though. Okay, so not too impressed by the selection there. Notions. Yeah, needles, seam rippers, freight check. Yeah, the usual kind of thing. Okay. Patterns. Clothing patterns. They have a lot of clothing and bag patterns by the looks of things. Not seeing a lot of quilt patterns though. Yeah, a lot of this is all garments and bags. Let's jump to the end. A few quilt patterns, but not a lot to speak of, I would say. Yeah, okay, so if you're into garment sewing though and you want patterns, they have them. And they have them listed across the top here too. So let's see. Yeah, they don't specifically have a link up here for quilting patterns. Publications, I guess those are books. Again, definitely more geared towards garment sewing. So I think that's what this particular online store is more into. Buttons, staff picks, thread. Okay, what do we have in thread? Shot thread by type, embroidery, long arm, pearl cotton. Doesn't look like you can search by brand. Let's go to all thread. Well, lots. What was this? Metler. They have Metler. Lots of sashiko. So if you're into sashiko, this might be a source for you. Yeah, really not a lot of, it seems like the kind of thread we as quilters would be most interested in. We have silk as well. Okay, tools and sewing machines. There's your tools. Sewing machines. Yeah, okay, this is tools and sewing machines, but I'm not finding any sewing machines. Not that I would be interested in buying a sewing machine online. I'd rather go into the store and get it. Okay, they've got some sewing machine accessories. They say they're an authorized Bernina dealer. If I click on that, there we go. There's their sewing machines and their Berninas. Okay. Let us look. I did see when over on this sidebar under fabric. Let's go back up here. Wide backs. Yes, I saw wide backs. So let's see what they have to choose from in that. Well, pretty much boring. Just solids, corner solids. $34 a meter. Oh, this one's 22, but it's sold out. A lot of sold out stuff here. Well, the whole page is sold out. So what's the point? Really? Okay. So you have this category, you don't have much to select from it, and it's all sold out. I would rather see you not put up any pictures of those things that are sold out so that we can see what we can buy. And obviously we can't buy wide back. Okay, is there anything else? General store. This place has a little bit of everything. Okay, if you want a candle, if you want maple syrup, if you want jam, you want coffee mugs. Okay, so they do have a few other little things possibly gifty. Well, they do have a gift guide. Which is just basically, oh, it's like a gift box, and this is what's in the gift box. Okay, well, you want to get something for someone you don't know what to buy it for, and it's a sewist, then this might be the way to go. Okay, well, I think I've gone over everything that's here, and I'm not sure. What's the journal? I guess they're talking about possibly different classes that they offer and other things they think of may be of interest to people. Okay. Well, overall, the workroom. What can I say about it? their website looks fairly professional, but there's a few little quirks and glitches that I think need to be refined in it. Price-wise, prices are reasonable, I think. I would have liked to know more specifically about the shipping, but it's Canada Post, so without filling up a cart of things and seeing what would come up as shipping, I really don't know how much shipping is going to be, but they do offer shipping over $200 free, which is nice within Canada. They are a Bernina sewing machine dealer as well. But overall, I think that they are more geared to garment sewers than they are to quilters. So if you're a garment sewer, this may have value for you. But for me as a quilter, I don't think so. So for all those reasons, I'm going to give it about a 5 out of 10. And that's the Workroom. So that's it for me today. As I said, maybe next week I'll have Stormy C in a more finished mode to show you. I don't know. We will see. And I'm sure I've got some other things that I'll be able to show you and talk about as well. Do be sure to tune into this week's So Chatty if you're interested in the quilt show that Walter and I went to. And I think that's about it for now. So I hope you have a great week, and we'll see you later. Bye for now.